T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. All three engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You're listening to The Twisted 10, bringing you original and unique host-created top 10 lists, recorded live in world-famous Cocoa Beach, Florida.
And welcome to another exciting explorationness.
Ooh. You get back into the word of the day.
Yeah. Twisted 10.
Oh, yeah.
What's up, guys?
How we doing?
Exploracious, huh?
Exploradaciously.
Explorationist.
Oh, there's two.
Explorationist.
It's a person who explores people who explore.
Yes.
All right.
Oh, okay, cool.
We
The
defined
Twisted
it.
10. So, I am one of your hosts, but I am not the host for today. My name is Tach, and over there across from me,
Tach, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. Look, I put a lot of work into this for this week.
Oh, yeah?
All right. I put a lot of work into it, and I'm Adam, and I'm not your host either.
Oh, what a letdown.
Sitting over on the lady chaise next to me is my beautiful fiance.
Hi, fiance.
Hey, girl.
Hi, it's Andrea Joy. And of course, I don't have a list because I'm never doing one again. I've said that tons of times. So,
So who's that leave?
Well, I think that leaves me, Mr. Wilson.
Mr.
Oh,
Wilson.
Mr. Wilson.
And this is my second list.
Woo!
I'm doing it tonight. I'm hosting.
Nice.
Top 10 list.
Doing it real.
I think I've done 2 lists since I've come to the show, Adam. How many have you done to the show since I came?
Like 2? Oh, I thought you meant like all together.
I could actually find that out, but
I think he's only done one.
no, I think I've done
that's
2.
one.
No, I think you're next, right? Or what did we determine? We were just talking about this.
No, Tax up next.
Tax
Then
next.
I'd go. I did the one live at Salty Fox. Don't forget that one too. I did one in here and then one at Salty Fox.
I didn't
That's
forget
right.
about that. I was drinking with Sam and Veronica.
Oh,
So
yeah, good point.
it was a rough night. So it is my list tonight.
All right.
Nice.
So I guess I'll go into it. Yeah. So
Well, wait, before we go, are you about to announce what it is?
Go for it. I wasn't. I was going to announce the rules.
Oh, okay, then you got it. All
Yeah.
It's
right.
his show, Tack. What the hell, man?
I'm sorry. It's usually it's
Simmer
what we
down.
do. And then we throw the virtual keys, but we
Well, he's
don't have
not a
to-
guest.
I know,
You
we
throw
don't
him
do
virtual
that
keys.
here.
He owns the car, man.
I know. I'm not saying we're doing that here tonight. I'm just saying
There's
we
a
usually
car?
go over it, then we throw virtual keys, and then they catch it.
All
and
right.
then, but you already know. So have at it.
So it's cool. It's a top 10 list, sometimes with a twist, and my list does have a twist tonight.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Twisted.
So in this list, there are 10 things. We say top 10. It's top 10 according to me, really.
Sure.
So we do use outside resources, but we cannot straight copy. We can't pull like a BuzzFeed list, and we can't just go down that list. So this is something that we have to kind of research, pull information together, and kind of find 10 key points in something that we find interesting.
Indeed.
That's a very good explanation.
Yeah, did I
man.
get that?
Yeah,
that was like
you nailed
4
that one.
sentences.
You hit all the bullet points, I believe.
Nice.
Yeah.
So my list tonight, it is 10 civilizations that completely disappeared and we don't know why.
Fucking yeah.
Interesting.
This feels like a Hysteria 51 episode.
Right?
It's a little
That's
bit.
awesome, man.
So my inspiration, it actually came to me while listening to another fellow podcast in the area, listening to Burn It Down show.
I'll burn it down.
Oh, okay.
So this list originally began with civilizations that burned it down. But
Got it.
I started finding some like other really crazy civilizations that just disappeared with different theories, but no like real confirmation as to why.
That's awesome.
So I guess, oh yeah, and one of these, I mentioned there's a twist. One of these is completely made up.
Ooh, that one.
It is not in any way real. It is completely
All right.
from my
Is
brain.
it that one?
You're so well. Hang on, Josh.
You
so
know that one that you made up? It's got to be that one.
It's got to be that one.
It's got to be
Yeah.
that one.
Josh, so for our listeners, making up something like a civilization in the top 10 list is very difficult and very intricate. However, what our listeners may not know is Josh is a very well-known through his circle of friends and community as one of the best dungeon masters in a game called Dungeons & Dragons. Now, yes, this is nerdy. However, listen, to have the ability to create a dungeon for your teammates or fellow team players to partake in and make it entertaining takes a ton of imagination. So picking Josh's civilization that's fake might be a little harder than it sounds.
And can we also say this now, Adam? You know, so halfway through when you hear it, like, is that it? Is that the one? Like, you can't do that. I know you like to do that.
He's sounding like me, though,
Who is?
when
What?
he said that.
Who, Tach sounded like
Yeah,
you?
I think he's talking to me, not you, but trying to be nice by saying it's for you.
Oh, we'll go with that. I understand, Tach.
No, he's someone that does
I
that.
don't want his feelings hurt.
Okay. Andrea. I mean, Adam.
I'm
What?
confused. Who's in trouble now?
I don't know.
Let's get to this list.
Yes.
Cool. So I guess I will start with number 10.
Number 10.
Number 10.
Okay, so number 10, this is, when I started out, I mentioned I was looking at cities and civilizations that burned it down. So this one we actually know what happened and why, so it doesn't actually fit the theme for kind of the rest of the list. So bear with me, it's a little different.
Sure.
But it was so fascinating, I couldn't take it off the list. So this is actually Centralia, Pennsylvania. This is actually here in the U.S. So if you approach the grounds for Centralia, there are signs warning of death by asphyxiation or being swallowed by the ground, falling into the ground. Both legitimate legal signs and like graffiti leading into the town.
Feed me, Seymour.
So what ended up happening is in 1962, they had a landfill, and very common practice, of course, but they burned the landfill to the ground just
Sure.
to clear it out. Well, what ended up happening is it ended up spreading to what was the mineral?
Obviously something combustible.
It is, yeah. So it's something. It's a flammable mineral, and I actually don't have it in my notes. It starts with an A. So they were mining this particular type of mineral near the landfill, and the fire spread to these mines, and the mines were completely flammable.
Oh, shit.
So the fire carried into the mines, which then subsequently spread out into later mines that were dug from the surface with more modern mining techniques. So basically, it just had these airflow shafts for this giant underground smoldering coal pit that is still burning. So it has been burning underground since 1962.
Damn, really?
It got so bad with like sulfurous gas being blown out of the ground. They just have like explosions of sulfur gas where the ground would just open up and just send poisonous gas into the air. Houses were like sunk into the ground because it had just completely burned and just it couldn't support it anymore. So in 1966, they spent $42 million. 1966, $42 million.
That's a lot of money.
To move everybody.
Wow.
10 people stayed. And apparently their descendants still live in the area. I say descendants like it was a long time ago. Like their families are still in the area.
Wow, man. That's crazy.
So yeah, in Centralia, Pennsylvania, it is uninhabitable. The entire city was condemned because it's still on fire. It's been burning for 50 years.
We didn't start the fire. Come on, Tach. Help me out here, buddy.
It was always burning
Since the world's been turning. See, there we go.
Nice. So there is an estimate on the current fuel supply that it is going to burn for an additional 250 years.
What?
Wow.
Take advantage of that, man. There's so much heat that's going on down there. If they can't stop it, take advantage of it. Get some water, create a power generator, and you're good to go.
I mean, maybe there's so you can actually, if you Google it, there's some really cool pictures where it'll be the dead of winter in Pennsylvania, and there'll be just spots of town where there's just no snow because the ground is too hot.
It's so hot. Wow,
So
that's
snow
crazy.
Just, won't stick.
So would
And
it keep you warm if you laid down on the ground if you were freezing to
But
death?
you would die of asphyxiation very
asphyxiation
quickly.
or sulfur poisoning. But yeah, you could. It would keep you warm.
It'd be a warm death attack, yeah, right?
So yeah, that was
Warm death? I
yes.
don't get it.
versus
wasn't-
a cold death.
He
You would
wasn't
just
paying
you would-
attention.
he
If you lay on
wasn't.
the ground where you're going to die because of asphyxiation because the ground's too hot, at least it'll be a warm death.
Tax distracted by studio mascot over here.
Yeah, I guess so.
He's just petting the dog.
Yeah, I'm lost.
So that's okay. So that's fine. So that's
I've
number.
been
That's
listening.
number 10.
I just don't know what the joke. I don't get the joke.
All right.
So that's number 10. Centralia, Pennsylvania.
All right, next.
All right. So number 9.
Number 9.
So this is Cahokia. It's a Native American Cahokia. So this one also disappeared by fire. So here's some facts about this civilization. So it was built around 600 CE, or I guess BC. They mean the same thing. And stood on where is now the current site, St. Louis, Missouri. It's surrounded by 120 pyramids, similar to Mayan temples. They're believed to be an offshoot of the Mayan culture, same time period as well. And they had a population of 15,000 people, which at the time puts them on the same scale as like London or New York City. They were
that's
like
a lot of people.
a major civilization. So Cahokia being built around 600 BC, it actually survived until the year 1400. So it was actually a roughly 2,000-year-old city through its entire span. And one of the weird things about this particular culture is we actually know next to nothing about them. They had no written language. Their civilization was completely burned to the ground. And the name Cahokia is even made up by a French cartographer in 1718 when he came through and saw the ruins of it. And he named it because there was nothing to go off of. So it's just called Cahokia because they didn't have a written language. They didn't even draw like pictures.
Or are they all burned up?
Well, I mean, things like pottery and stuff has a tendency to survive fires and stuff. And they're just not even like abandoned. They just didn't write anything down. They're just a spoken tradition for 2,000 years.
That is interesting.
So, and you can actually, you can actually go if you are in St. Louis. It's outside of the city. Apparently, they have like a cultural center where they have some of the artifacts that have been found, and they have what they do know about them as a people, like that they were a farming people versus a combative people, stuff like that. So there is some information that you can go and you can see there at the cultural center.
And they were what got them was a fire as well, some kind of fire.
Oh yes, yeah. So the same thing. There was a fire, and the belief is that it didn't kill everybody, but it destroyed their city, so they scattered and became like 1400s. They just joined Native American tribes and became what we now associate as just regular Native Americans.
Were they more civilized than the other Native American tribes?
Well, a lot of Native American tribes were civilized. But I mean, again, this was a farming culture, so when their city was burned down, they scattered, and
sure.
And again, that's only a theory. They could have all died there, but there's not bodies to support that much death.
Gotcha.
So,
interesting. Okay.
So yeah, number 9, Cahokia.
Cahokia. Cahokia. A little racist. Trying to be not racist. That's not racist, is it? It's pretty accurate. Native Americans. It's kind of what they sound like, right? It's like, say, if I was trying to impersonate a Rastafarian, there's a very distinct sound that they would make. I'm not doing it. Go.
By the beach, boy.
Right,
everything's outery.
Everything's outery.
Number 8.
Number 8.
All right, so this is actually it's a nicknamed city. It's called the Burn City.
Burn City?
The Burn City, yep.
Let me guess, this one burned too.
This one did burn to the ground. Actually, it actually has a history of burning to the ground. So, yeah, so it actually, it has a name, and I'm going to butcher this, but it's Shar-e-Sukta.
Oh, all right. That's okay. It's a shark's teethia. Okay,
so
got
it's Arabic. So it exists between modern Iran and Afghanistan. It's very near that border.
Iran and Afghanistan.
Yeah, so it's kind of on the south side.
Okay, all right.
So so they thrived from 4000 to 3000 BC. So they were roughly a 1,000-year civilization. It earns its nickname because through its history.
What's its nickname?
The Burn City.
The Burn City.
The Burn City. Jesus
the Burn
Christ.
City, yeah.
Okay,
so
my bad.
It earns its nickname because during its history, it burned to the ground 4 times.
These motherfuckers didn't know how to play with matches right.
So the ground, the area, it was an incredibly lush farming area during that time period. So
yeah, that's a Mesopotamia time.
Exactly.
So,
that is actually in the Mesopotamian region. So that's right. So right during a peak, it was near Silk Road stuff. It was like a really good spot to be in. So they stayed.
Not to be confused with the former modern day Silk Road.
Right.
A little different.
Dark web stuff.
Yeah, a little different. Nerds!
But so one of the things that makes the Burn City so unique is that they have artifacts from its different periods from when it has been rebuilt. They kept things. So they were able to find things that go back, and they had distinctly different traits. They learned over time. They got smarter and tried new tools and got new farming techniques, etc. And then when they had to rebuild, they incorporated what they had learned. So they were like they were kind of like a nomad kind of gathering thing in the beginning, and they got better at farming. So then they were kind of Paleolithic, kind of living off of the land in their second generation. And then in the third iteration, they added in hunting because they had some metalworking skills. So they just got smarter, and then the fourth time it burned down, I guess they finally just said fuck that, and their records just end.
Fourth time's the charm.
And they just
Or that arsonist really finally did his job right.
Yeah.
One or the other.
So yeah, that's the burned city, and apparently there are still ruins out there from the burned city, so they're still excavating it. You can still go and view it.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I hope that doesn't burn.
I don't think it's gonna burn anymore.
Man, there's so much stuff that's under that desert. It's just ridiculous.
Maybe it's haunted.
Could very well be. I mean, interesting fact: there are 200 locations from the Old Testament in Iraq. No, they're still there that they correlate.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, like, there's just a lot of history that happened there, since a lot of history has been dictated by religion. So you can look at these religious sites and the stories from different religions, and they're still there.
There's a place in where we were in Erbil up in the north. There's a place on one of the airport roads. It's protected inside the airport walls, so kind of protected, but not really. But there's one area there that supposedly was a stopping point for the Virgin Mary, I guess while she was still pregnant with Christ. I don't know what the story was, but it's a shrine, like a monument, and there's trees that are all around it in this one little area out in the middle of nowhere where there's like, just nastiness everywhere else.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
That's cool. So yeah, that's number 8. That's the burned city.
All right.
Number 7.
Number
7.
All right. Number 7 comes from Turkey. And I looked up a pronunciation video for this one because I don't speak Turkish.
All right.
So.
Çatalhöyük.
Çatalhöyük.
I think I've had Chateau Hung turkey
Right?
before.
That's with sesame sauce? Yeah.
All right, so this is an ancient Turkish civilization, actually 7500 BCE, so roughly 9,000
years ago.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
So this is also believed to be one of the earliest civilizations in the world. So they were a really unique culture because all of the ruins that they found, they're all they're honeycombs. Their houses are built like little honeycombs. So not necessarily hexes per se, but they built all of their houses to be the same height in an uneven landscape, and then they used the tops of the houses as walkways.
Wow, really?
So they would, so like getting around town, you would like walk on people's roofs, on everybody's roofs. That was your walkway. And then to get home, you would like go to your roof and take a ladder down into your house. So everybody lived under the walkway, and that was like a family house. So when people would pass away, they would be buried in the house.
Oh, that's creepy.
That is weird.
Well, we also have to think like primitive society where like
I guess
holding on
10,000
to your
years ago,
family
yeah.
was like it was you'd want them close to you when they pass away so you could like learn from them, things like that. So they would bury them in the house, and that was just like a really weird culture. They didn't, other than that, they were like very appropriate for the region. They were learning to farm outside their town and stuff.
Man,
But
wouldn't that stink after a while? Just saying.
I mean,
And then it
hopefully
would
they buried
stop
him underground.
eventually.
Yeah, could you imagine you're like the 15th kid in the generational tree. You're like, I got nowhere to bury my relatives. All my ground is full of these dead people.
That's
a horrible-
definitely haunted.
they are definitely haunted. So this is where we're really going to start into the cultures that disappeared. So this one, they don't know why they stopped their records. They were just abandoned. There's no record of where they went. They're not destroyed. They're just, the buildings are still there. It's just like someone maybe came through and just like killed everybody, or they left.
How big was their civilization?
I don't know.
I think it was pirates because they pillaged, I think is one of the things they do.
Maybe it was a massive cult and they all buried themselves.
Not in 10,000 BC, or 8,000 BC. That's almost 10,000 years ago. There's no pirates then.
You don't think there's pirates back then?
I mean, I'm sure there was violence, but I don't think a boat was a thing back then.
Yeah, I don't think we had really.
But cults
I understand
were a
that
thing.
our big pirate thing is like the 1200s or whatever, but you don't think boats were invented?
I don't think there's record of a vessel, a seaworthy vessel, that dates back prior to like 600 or 700.
Yeah, you got to remember, 10,000 years ago, we were getting away from being like tribal.
That's like the Ice Age, right?
No, it's
No.
about every 20,000 years,
It's the
and
end
we're
of
due
the-
for one. So about 25,000 years ago now is when we had the last ice age, I believe.
This is technically speaking right at the cutover period between the current period, and the Paleolithic period. This is the area
Can
of
I look up
farming and civilizations.
Can I look up ice? I know we're not supposed to do searches because we're trying to guess what your one is, but I'm going to look up when the last ice age was. Is that all right, right?
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I thought it was 10,000.
So, so 10,000 years ago is when we really, as a species, learned to farm and started settling down and building civilizations. So this is also the same area that like Mesopotamia and modern day Baghdad and stuff. That's when it was starting to get settled and becoming a farming community. Communities were like a new thing at this point. They were like a new human innovation to work together.
11,700 years ago. That was the completion of the last ice age.
I was technically going to say 12,000 years ago is actually what I was
You would
going
have
to
been
say.
the closest, Tach.
Because it's been 10,000 years. It's 10,000 BC, and then add the 2 more thousand because we're in the year 2000. So that would put it at
12,000.
12,000. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. That was the end of the last ice age.
Yay,
So-
math.
Plus, there was a movie called 10,000 BC, and
I
it
was
showed
thinking of
people.
It showed people. So you're
That's
that's great logic.
I didn't see the movie.
They had
but,
tablets and cell phones.
It
No,
was a
I
good-
didn't see
it
the
was a
movie,
good-
but it showed. You saw it,
It was good. It was a good movie.
but it showed people like living in an ice age, right? It was like saber-tooth tigers and shit, and mammoths, and
Well, they called that nature. That's all. They were alive. They existed back then.
Right,
That's
right.
the thing. They
it
just,
wasn't like, whoa, look, it's a saber-tooth tiger.
it was just,
Let's kill them all.
they
And then
just,
I called a caveman.
we were just more in line, more on an equal playing field with nature at that point. So they
Like
were just,
the Flintstones.
well,
No,
kind
no.
of.
That's
Oh,
supposed to be
they were
cavemen.
dinosaurs. They were the dinosaurs.
Yeah, they were supposed to be cavemen. These are not cavemen. No.
Wilma!
So that's number 7, Chattel Hewick Turkey.
Turkey.
All right.
All right.
So I'm
I
gonna
want-
read
I
6.
think maybe if we hurry tomorrow, I'm going to get some Chattel Hewick turkey.
I love that.
It just sounds
Tach.
good.
Is that like a Boston market specialty?
I don't think they have it there.
Boys.
but- Sorry.
Number 6.
Number 6.
All right. Another one from Turkey. This is another name I can't pronounce. Darren Kuyu?
Didn't he play?
Basketball for the
No, he was
Mavericks.
on that show, that sitcom.
Bewitched.
no, Mr. Ed.
Is that it?
So I'm starting to think that the hipsters of Turkey were starting to make like strange civilizations because Darren Kuyu was enormous and completely underground.
He was underground,
Yeah, he was.
like where it's hot.
I think
So-
this is the name of a city.
This is the
yes?
name of a city, yes.
Okay.
Darren Kuyu. I'm sure it's pronounced much more eloquently in Turkish, but so
Probably not.
so basically they completely lived underground. So it was 5 stories deep and incredibly widespread. It was big enough for livestock, group cooking, churches, legit churches. Oh, so this was
Yeah, I was going to ask what era.
so it was at its peak between the year 500 and the year 1000. So
Okay.
which actually plays a little bit into its history.
Sounds like a cult.
In Turkey again, so religion.
Yeah, again, this is going to be
Muslim?
Its growth was
Most likely.
it's actually all of the above. So it thrived. So I'll tell you more about how it was built. So the way it was built to be a bit of a stronghold. So they could literally roll cartoon style giant rocks in front of the doors. And they would keep air vents open for all of the people living underground, and just using torches and stuff and just like convection, they could channel smoke out of the building. So they could completely stronghold, and they were known to close up and live for months at a time under.
Oh, wow.
Which they would close up like that because of just some of these next anecdotes I'm going to read about their history. So they. Okay. It was in the Turkish region of Cappadocia. Sounds very Italian.
Hey, I like a Cappadocia double espresso, please.
But so it was actually, they set it up as a safe haven. So it was, I'll just read this. For centuries, people had fled to the area to find a safe haven from anti-Christian Romans, bandits, and later anti-Christian Muslims.
Okay.
So it was just everybody running from religious persecution. They were welcomed here. So it was shut, like the last time it was sealed was in the 10th century, and it was reopened to the public in 1969. So,
Oh, wow, really?
so if you are in Darren Kuyu, Turkey, or near it, I guess you can go see it. I don't know what is open. I don't know if it's like toured.
Turkey is a beautiful country for tourism. It's got some like amazing sights to see, and like cliffs and canyons and waterfalls and all of this absolutely gorgeous. But it's also that way because it's got so much different topology. It's got history. So that's cool. I would love to go see that. That would be fascinating to me. An underground civilization or society.
I have a question though, but I'm afraid to ask it. Like it'll give away if this is a fake one or not.
You're not supposed to say that, are you?
What do you
Isn't that
mean?
what you told me? Give me a hard. Okay,
How
go ahead.
about I won't answer if I feel like it'll give it away?
Well, then
Just ask your question.
maybe I just want to ask then. I don't want to.
Okay, what happened to these people?
So this is another one of the civilizations they don't know. They just
Did they just discover this like area?
Was the rock open or closed when they?
It was closed, but you have to say "Open Sesame." Sorry.
So it was apparently closed up still when they found it.
So the people were in there.
But they were known to live in there for months at a time. So for whatever reason, they stayed in. Maybe they couldn't get out, but they just declined. There's no real reason. They don't know.
Huh.
There's like no record of a catastrophic event. No record of like flooding, which an underground civilization being next to the Mediterranean would.
I know what happened to this civilization. This isn't the fake one, Tach. This is the real one. There was one guy named Bob, and Bob had a flatulence issue. And people got sick of living in this underground enclosed cave with Bob. So guess what?
They killed
Bob didn't leave.
Bob isn't a Turkish name.
Yeah, this is Vault 1. This is the oldest vault for. So they actually, kind of another note that's in here. It has actually been used as a case study for apocalypse survival. On what resources they needed. They had 20,000 people living underground together for months at a time.
Dude, even better. Apply that to Mars. Look how much research is going into building Mars Hab 1. Look how much research is going into that right now.
Yeah, so there's a lot of really cool information that's come out of them because they didn't do anything historically groundbreaking. They weren't a major civilization, leave a major mark on society.
Well, maybe they didn't disappear. Maybe that was just their bunker and they would just go in there when they thought it was the end of the world. Instead, they just continued to live outside somewhere else and that was just their safe place to go if something bad was coming.
And that's just as likely. They don't know why. It was they just know that it lived it thrived for 500 years and then it just stopped. There's no more records of it.
It's just kind of like the Martians, because the Martians live underground.
What?
Maybe they were abducted. Maybe they were aliens and they went back to their home planet.
Maybe these are
just went home.
lizard people.
They just went home.
Let's not talk crazy. Get your head out of your ass.
Oh,
That's it.
Martians live underground. On Mars, not
They would have
here.
to. They would have to. That makes sense.
That's a theory.
Well, I mean, Discovery hasn't seen anything. Discovery? What's the probe on Mars? Either way,
Curiosity.
so that is 10 through 6.
That's it. No, that's it. Curiosity.
It is the
Yeah,
Curiosity.
Curiosity, and which is still going, which is an amazing.
Yeah.
10 years
feet.
after they thought it would die or something like that?
Easily, yeah. And
Did
what's
they
the other
use
one?
Energizer batteries? Ding.
Curiosity and
Man, we're space fans too. We should know
I
this.
know.
That's all right.
And these are the big ones too, the size of Volkswagens.
Yeah.
So that's 10 through 6.
Good job.
Awesome.
I'll remember before we get back, and I won't even look it up.
When we come back, tackle
When we
the
get
answer
back,
to the
I'll have
twin,
them, yes.
to the Curiosity rover.
Yeah, so when we come back, more stuff gets burned to the ground.
Yeah.
More people abducted.
Yep. Ooh, we're going to talk about the first known inhabitants of the New World, North America.
Ooh.
So
I like it.
This is going way...
Row.
Those are the English, right?
No, this is going back prior to 10,000 BC.
I'm just kidding.
So this is going back to almost to the last ice age. As we just
We're
learned.
going way back
So, yep, that's another good one.
Moving on back.
to the Ice Age.
And then we also I'm gonna cover a little bit of a interesting theory on civilization collapse in the 1100s. That's also I'm gonna cover that in the next section. So
Sweet.
take a break and we'll be back in a few.
These segments brought to you by masterfulbeer.com.
Every time I think of you, I feel shot right through in the bowl of fear. It's no problem of mine, but it's a problem I find. Living a life that I can't leave behind. But there's no sense in telling me the wisdom of a fool won't set you free.
Hey, Tech, you ever have that conversation with your girl about where to eat dinner and it always turns into that back and forth? I don't know, you pick.
Yeah, every once in a while, yeah.
Yeah, well, I've got an answer for you next time that comes up.
Oh, yeah? Where at?
The Salty Fox in Melbourne off of Oak Alley Boulevard.
Oh, nice. You know, I've actually been there, and the food was pretty awesome.
Hell yeah, it was. They offer a great selection of paninis, shareable appetizers, soups and salads, and one of the best desserts I've ever had, the Funky Monkey.
Oh, yeah. My favorite was the vintage options. They got this meal called ramen noodle on crack. You just got to try it out.
Done. That's definitely what I'm getting next time.
Put the fun between your legs at the Salty Fox every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. with the Oak Alley Arts District Bike Crawl.
It's a 4-mile bicycle ride down Pineapple Avenue with stops for food and beer all along the route. Be sure to visit the Salty Fox every Sunday for brunch from 11 to 4.
Hey, isn't that the $10 bottomless mimosas brunch?
Sure is. Enjoy your brunch while the Salty Fox's DJ spins throwbacks and top 40 hits.
Salty Fox is located in the downtown Oak Alley Art District on Oak Alley Boulevard.
Check them out on Facebook at facebook.com/saltyfoxmelbourne or online at thesaltyfox.net.
Hey listeners, be sure to mention you heard about the Salty Fox on our show and you'll get 10% off your meals.
Village Idiot Pub. You locals know about it. You guys from out of town have to check them out.
Village Idiot Pub is now a proud sponsor with Living Podcariously and the Twisted 10 podcasts.
It's more than just about commercials, though. The cast here will be taking our show on the road to Village Idiot to record some episodes as well as hold events. They have over 30 beers on tap, including ciders and Hefeweizen, my favorite, as well as hundreds of bottle choices.
Adam, you forgot my favorite, all the delicious wine. So get your friends together and enjoy the board games, puzzles, and the giant Jenga.
Let the owner, Jason, as well as the rest of the staff there, take excellent care of your beer drinking needs.
Mention either one of our shows to the staff and get 10% off your tab.
Tuesday is open mic, Wednesday is trivia, Thursday is karaoke, Friday and Saturday night are live music.
Visit them at 4 Harrison Street, Suite 103, Cocoa, Florida, or Village Idiot Pub on Facebook. And don't forget, they are a dog-friendly location, so bring your friends, family, and fur babies.
Hey, it's Adam. If you enjoy the hosts or the content of the Twisted 10, be sure to check out our other show. It's called Living Podcariously. While the Twisted 10 may get crass and explicit occasionally, it holds no water to Living Podcariously. We do get a little bit more rough and raw on that show. We have a lot of fun producing it and have had some awesome guests. And as always, thanks for listening.
Welcome back to the Twisted 10.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome back. Hey, just so our listeners know, I think we were wrong about the whole curiosity. Because it had only been on for 2012. I did have to look it up because I'm a moron. But
well, I am too. Three of us are working at the Space Center, and we didn't know the names of the rovers.
Yeah, it's a Spirit and Opportunity were the twins that went up there.
Yes.
And of course, I didn't do enough research, but one of them is still going due to dust devils and things like that, keeping the solar panels clear.
Yep.
And the battery's running.
So you believe that story? I made that up entirely.
No, I've seen that in the documentary.
Well, I guess...
Can you recap 10 through 6?
Do we need to recap the rules?
Just the title. Oh, the rules? No, but the titles.
No.
Cool. So, okay, so I'll cover 10 through 6 again.
Okay.
So, number 10 was Centralia, Pennsylvania. This is the underground fire that's going to burn for another 250 years, making that whole area uninhabitable. There's Cahokia. This is a civilization underneath it's a civilization that existed in what is modern-day St. Louis. So they're not around. The Burned City. That is the 1,000 years of reconstructed civilization. Burned City that burned down 4 times before they bailed on it. Number 7. That is Catalhoyuk, Turkey. Did I get that right? Does that sound right, guys?
I'm getting hungry.
Right? Turkey.
So they're the ones who lived in... they're the ones who lived in like the hexes. They lived underneath their roadways.
And they walked on top of each other's houses.
Yeah, they solved the level issue of their town by reversing how they approached it, which is pretty cool. Number 6 was Darren Kuyu, Turkey. That is a fully underground civilization that could host 20,000 people. So... That was
It's a big number. I didn't know. I don't think we said that during that one.
I'm fairly certain I did, but for perspective, that is about as big as. I guess I don't know what modern city would be that big.
Merritt Island, for example, has 35,000 people.
Does it?
Yeah, where we live in Merritt Island, Florida, which is Cocoa Beach, between Cocoa and Cocoa Beach.
It's in the middle. The beginning of the show says Cocoa
it has smoke and mirrors, smoke and mirrors. That's 35,000.
Actually, I may not say in the beginning of this show. It says in the beginning of our other show.
It says it in this one too, I'm pretty sure.
No, it doesn't.
She did the voiceover. I don't know.
Oh.
Do you remember saying that like a year ago?
We need to do. We need to recut all of our ads and all of our. We'll work on that.
All right.
So yeah, they lived all underground. So yeah, 20,000 people that could live underground for months at a time. So they stored livestock, they stored food, they grew food, they stored water,
and that place had Bob.
So, I guess we'll pick it back up. Number 5.
Number 5.
All right. So number 5 is Bahish, modern day Israel, roughly 2000 CE or BC. So
they're gone. Israel's gone.
No
kidding.
I don't think
so. This is just over 4,000 years ago. So it was a coastal city. It was about 10,000 people. It was kind of unique because they had like a central leadership, but they were spread out over about 50 square kilometers. So they had 10,000 people living in like little small collections of farming people. And then they came together for some sort of like central leadership and trade spot. So they had like a flea market where they hung out and made like also like leadership decisions. So they were
interesting. All spread around like a ring or something?
No, just like over like a 50 square kilometer area. They were just spread out doing like coastal farming. So I guess they had ways to channel water in, which is pretty cool. So that was kind of their thing. So they also kind of just disappeared while here. So they had they did find collections of weapons, but they were all together in like armory style buildings. So nobody had like their own weapons.
Advanced.
So they seemed to like keep their weapons together because they weren't fighters, but they understood the need to protect themselves, is the current theory. So much like a lot of the other items on the list, they don't actually know where they went. They just stopped. They're not showing up on trade anymore. They stopped writing shit. They just.
I see what you do. Are you picking up on this?
No.
Josh is drawing a parallel between this ancient civilization that is gone, and ours today. Think about this. This civilization had gun control laws, and they kept all of their ammunitions and arms in one place. The citizens couldn't have their ammunitions.
And they disappeared.
And they're gone.
4,000 years ago. See? Lessons learned.
History's repeating itself.
So
they take our guns. Sorry.
The current prevailing theory is just that they were simply all killed. They just being a coastal farming town and not being armed. The belief is just, a group of ships could come in and just wipe out people.
This is about 4,000 years ago?
4,000 years ago. I guess it wouldn't be ships, but bandits is what it says. So
okay, yeah,
you could say it. Pirates.
It is unknown what caused the end of their civilization. Historians currently believe a series of raids led to the overall total destruction of their farming societies.
They had AIDS back then.
I think it's raids.
Right, they had bug spray.
Okay, so and also like some of the other ones, it's just believed that maybe they weren't all killed, but they just kind of stopped because they just said fuck this route, and they just kind of went down trade routes and. Said, I'm taking my family out of here because this shit sucks.
What would be really interesting is to see if there's a study around disappearances, the time frame of the disappearances of these different civilizations, and massive events that are going on, like interstellar events, like a comet passing by, which causes people to kill themselves. Those crazy things, like these cult suicide type things. I wonder if anybody's ever done that research.
One of the prior items, one of the prior cities on the list, or maybe it's a later item. Oh, it's actually a later one. So, when I mentioned a little teaser that we're going to talk about, like a current theory on why a lot of relatively advanced civilizations all declined right around the same time. So there's actually like a cool theory on like why the Egyptians and the Greeks and there's the Hittites around that same time over in the Middle East, whatever, but they all declined right around the same time. So there's a cool theory on that. So I just kind of touch on that later.
It's the opening of the very first McDonald's. Just kidding. McDonald's, we want you to sponsor us. I'm just kidding.
Please help us. We want to spread your message.
We'll make it your way. Wait, no, it's Burger King. Damn it, I'm already messing it up.
So that was number 5, Bahish.
Okay.
So, yeah, Bahish. Number 4.
Number 4.
So, Minoan civilization.
Oh, yeah, the Minoans.
It's the Minoans. So this is actually, they're kind of an interesting, they were spread out. I guess, so they lived circa 2600 to 1100 BC.
Yeah, see, somebody else uses the word circa. I used to get in trouble for using the word circa from
Not
you,
by
sir.
me.
Was it Ron?
Yeah.
Might have been Ron. Okay. Or Jordy Todd or whatever his name is.
whatever his name is now. So they were a Bronze Age civilization. So they were the islands around Crete,
Sure.
the modern island of Crete, so is where they were at. So the Minoans were unique against ancient Greek culture because they had their own written and spoken language, which to this day is still not deciphered. We cannot read Minoan writing. So
Voynich manuscript.
Right.
So the only tie that we have to that era historically is through Greek philosophers who wrote about like King Minos and the Minotaur and stuff like that. These are stories about these islands, but actual historical accounts from these islands, we have it. We are in possession of it, we as a people, but we don't know what any of it means. We have no way to translate their writing to anything else. They have no
Cipher.
translation. Yeah, there's no cipher, no way to translate it. It's not compared against anything. So, but they saw. So during that time,
There's no Minoan Webster's dictionary. Get it, Merriam-Webster, Minoan Webster. Bad joke.
Talent.
nice. So, this is so according to Homer, talking about the Greek philosophers.
Dope.
The Crete once had 90 cities. So at most, like these Minoan cities, there was quite a few of them, and I imagine city is probably relative to Homer's time period.
we would consider it like a small village,
Yeah.
maybe a city to
so,
that.
but they were
Maybe.
But they had across all of the islands, and there's a lot more than just the island of Crete. They were the Crete Islands, so they are all spread out. So there were cities amongst all of them.
It's an archipelago.
It is. Good call. So they, like all of these, they just disappeared. They don't know why. So the two theories is because they had ports on all sides of the islands, that it was an invasion, because naval combat was a big deal back then.
That's why. If they didn't have starboard rowers, if they just had ports, they'd just go in circles.
Or a volcanic eruption. So either is a volcanic eruption of Mount Thera.
I knew there was going to be something tied into that. So there's one on your list that I'm wondering if you're going to have. But we'll see. We'll see if we're done and then you haven't guessed it, then I'll say it.
We'll see. We're getting pretty close. Pretty close. So, yes, the Minoan people, they thrived for 1,500 years. They were great trades. They were ahead of their time in the Bronze Age. They had those advanced metallurgy techniques. They were able to get what they needed from the Mediterranean. And then they just kind of disappeared. Their language stopped showing up anywhere culturally around 1100 BC.
Huh.
So,
all right.
Minoans.
The Minoans.
Can't trust them. Well, they make good roofs.
You know how many Minoans it takes to change a light bulb?
How many, Tach?
I don't know. They've never seen one. So, you know what Minoans got for Christmas last year?
What?
They don't know either. They're not around. I don't know.
Jesus.
Man, how brutal.
All right.
They're not around. What does it matter?
What are they going to do? Beat me up?
Number 3.
Number 3.
So this is the city of Persepolis. Persepolis. So Persepolis is an interesting city because the only thing that they have for where it went away was Alexander the Great taking credit for the city being burned to the ground.
I mean...
But emphasis on taking credit. So, of course, history is written by the victors.
Yeah,
but the only record of Persepolis going away... Oh, and much like a lot of these other cities, this was a city that thrived on art and culture. So this was, 330 BCE. This is when civilization was at its peak. This is when religion was starting to take a foundation culturally. This is when we were starting to see major trade routes, major wars start to pop up around this time period. So for this inland city to be destroyed by Alexander the Great was a big deal because Alexander the Great never burned cultural or artistic landmarks. He had an appreciation for the arts. So the people who were there, he killed people, but like the actual art centers where they made art, where they stored art, he never destroyed. But now the city was burned to the ground. That was not his MO. So
you think he's taking credit for something that just he stumbled across? He figured out that, hey, this city got wiped out. Might as well strike fear in those who might hear my name.
Exactly. But it is fascinating because you can see it. It has another nickname now. Let me find it. It is called the City of 40 Pillars? The Place of the 40 Columns. So that's all that's left is these 40 standing columns in the middle of the sand from Persepolis, and the foundation, of course, that they're actually connected to.
Interesting.
So it has some other history here. There's some different civilizations that were subsequently burned to the ground on top of this particular set of grounds for several hundred years afterwards. Civilizations kind of come up and come down.
Poor bastards. Stop building where it burns you to the ground.
Yeah,
right?
So it's just been consistently burned. So that's the region of Persepolis, or it was also known as Parsa, the city of the Persians. And then Persepolis as well in Greek means the same thing. So Romans just kind of took the name. So yeah, so it disappeared. And so
what king was it that claimed it? King who?
Alexander the Great.
King Alexander the Great. So the name of the city now is changed to not killed by King Alexander the Great, Idia.
Emperor Alexander the Great.
Emperor.
He took over most of Europe. He's one of the most successful generals in history. So yeah,
he had met General Mattis of the United States Marine Corps. Marine Corps? Is Mattis Marine?
I don't know, but I'm going to tell him what you said.
Yeah, no shit.
So number 3, Persepolis. So the Clovis culture. So the Clovis were the first human inhabitants of the New World. The earliest records of them go back 10,000 BC. So they go back 12,000 years, going back to, which we touched on, the last ice age.
The New World being the United States as we consider this North America.
North America, yeah. Okay. So the New World's being North America. So a lot of this information came from a European exploration website. So we were the New World.
Oh,
right?
cool.
So,
Gotcha.
So it goes back 10,000 BC. And really, we don't really know much about them except for a handful of theories as to why they declined. We do know that they were at the time, the most advanced. They weren't blacksmiths, but they made like arrow tips and they made spear tips. So they were like good mason workers, I guess. They weren't like
they were forging. Things. They were like carving out of their surroundings.
Yeah. So whatever the right term would be, so they worked with stone. They made tools. They were
mason work would probably be good. Yeah, that'd probably be good. Blacksmithing would indicate a next level up of creating like schematics to build things.
And so the only reason we actually have like a concrete decline in their culture is that they had a specific type of spearhead, like it's the Clovis style fluted points for like arrows and spears. It was a way that they worked with it that was like indicative to this culture of people. So
can you do you have a description that you can give on what that is? Like,
I mean, it looks, the best way to describe it is imagine like a really rounded arrowhead. It didn't have like sharp points on the back. It was just kind of, like an arrowhead, but just completely rounded.
Like a heart, almost like a reverse upside down heart.
Like almost exactly an upside down heart. So that's so I do have a picture I can pull up and show you guys.
We got it. I can visualize it.
Like a spade.
Sure.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So along those same veins. So the only thing that we have about their culture is that they potentially played a large impact in driving the mammoths extinct.
Right.
So they were hunters. I mean, all humans were hunters at that point. So they are believed to be hunting in the right area to have major impacts on the mammoth population.
They weren't all hunters because there were some that were somewhat near the Portland area. So some of them were hipster vegans. So some of the first hipster vegans were actually.
I was wondering where you're going with that.
Not at all where I thought that was going to go.
It was a big build-up. I'm like, oh, what's this going to be?
Because that's actually a very interesting time historically, because about 10,000 years ago, or about 11,000 years ago, is when we started settling down into communities and farming. So that's where I thought you were going with it. But it is around this time.
We weren't freezing our balls off from the ice age anymore.
Yeah, we could come out of our holes, and so it was an interesting time for the human race. So we started spreading out incredibly, and so they started to decline. There's no real reason. Again, they were a spoken culture. So a lot of the fun theories on their decline, this lines up with the Dryas comet impact and the Clovis comet impact, saying that these comets that hit Earth landed like in their civilizations and led to a decline. So because of the time,
wow, no shit. Are you talking about like the impact was so close to them it killed them, or the fallout from the impact in their region of the world is what killed them? Or wiped them out?
I'm not sure. They
Possibly
went into
both. Okay.
And possibly both, because the second half of that is that these theories they take assumptions for them to work timeline wise. So there are assumptions that go into these theories, which makes them inherently unrepeatable or inherently inaccurate.
Sure.
So there's also that they just dispersed, that they just spread out too thin and kind of went extinct, but they just kind of disappeared. Our earliest ancestors in North America, who set the foundation for how we hunt and how we make tools and stuff, we have no idea where they went or why.
That is interesting. Were they still Homo sapien? Or were they a different version of the...
We've been Homo sapien for a very long time. Yeah, a lot longer than that.
A lot longer than 10,000 years?
Like
Okay.
200,000 years.
Yeah, we've been in our current iteration for a very, very...
Where's Ron? He's all over that paleontology kind of stuff. Should
I
ask
think
him
he'll
those
agree
questions.
with me.
Show me the missing link. It's not real. Let me define a scientific theory for you. That's why you need to shut the fuck up.
Nice.
All right, number one.
Number one.
All right, so if you guys listen to my last list, then you'll remember I did this last time and I'm going to do it again. I found so much while researching my Twisted 10 that just for my number one,
You broke it in
I had to find, this isn't one civilization that collapsed for this one. So I'm going to call number one the perfect storm.
Ooh.
Yeah, so a lot of this is actually based on work done by Eric Klein. So he's a historian at George Washington University. He's written a book on this, and I think actually Perfect Storm is part of his title too. So this is like a huge research topic for him. Is what it's
Say hello to your mother.
So this
They were wiped out too, which is
Yeah, that's a good point.
interesting.
So he his book is called 1177 BC, the year civilization collapsed.
Ding.
So we're right around 3,200 years ago. So
Wait. 1177 BC?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. 3,200 because of 2000. I just caught up.
I know it's weird because you got to do backwards math too and all that weird stuff. It's strange. So this is actually the end of the Bronze Age and the onset of the Dark Ages. Yeah. This was
The Dark Ages.
So what his research goes into is he starts to talk about there was so much that happened on these interconnected major civilizations. So we're talking about drought, famine, climate change, earthquakes, invasions, massive rebellions,
Cats and dogs sleeping together. Mass hysteria. Pandemonium.
So there's all
Josh,
of these major.
Do you know where that quote's from? I'm sorry, I have to stop you and ask that.
Cats and dogs raining everywhere.
Cats and dogs living together. Mass hysteria.
I've heard it. Tell me. I'm going to say, yeah, I've seen that.
Ghostbusters.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. See, I told you.
All right, sorry.
No, you're good. So he has a list that he set together for all of the impacted civilizations, but basically the ancient Egyptians, the ancient Greeks,
Okay.
the ancient Minoans, we just talked about them with number 3, the Byzantine Empire, which we talked about with number, it was one of the ones in Turkey, the underground civilization, Derinkuyu, the Byzantinians, part of that empire. So they all declined around the same time period, and they all started to decline in the same 50-year period. So
That's ironic.
well, that's what led him down this path, because it's what they're finding is all of these cities are very interconnected for trade reasons. So they all, there's no specific reason. We don't really know what happened, but they all were like advanced Bronze Age. They were metalworking. The pyramids, right? Major feats of engineering for that time period in history. And then they went through this 50-year period, which ended up leading to a several 100-year drought in that area of the world. So farming cultures deteriorated and fell apart. They became warring nations, and cultures fell apart. And that's why they call it the Dark Ages, because society collapsed.
Did you say they were all connected with trade routes?
Well, like different, like through trade or political agreements, or they were just they were just largely interdependent on each other because things you can get in the northern Mediterranean versus Egypt. So this is actually a bit of a gimme for you guys still following along, looking for the fake entry in the Twisted 10, because this is not. It's just like a summary point. This is. So you can find this guy.
What's his theories? Does he have any kind of wrap up of what he theorizes to be the reason for all of that?
So his theory is that there isn't one reason. It's that he combined all of those things. There were droughts.
Oh, they were just all set up perfectly on a chessboard. So their socioeconomic situations were the same. Mm-hmm. Their probably lineages are very, very similar. So they would be susceptible to the same types of maybe inheritance diseases or. Okay, all right, I see.
So it's a huge body of research that I can't do justice in a 5-minute bullet point on this list. But so he really goes into it, and he goes into the history of the ancient Egypt. So for example, Egypt collapsed because they were unable to adapt to climate change, which changed their farming conditions and the water level and current level through the Nile River, which was their major trade route. So when they couldn't get ships up and down the river, they started to get disconnected from each other.
Huh, interesting. Okay.
Apart. Yep. They use pollen samples through history to find the water levels through Egypt's history to find that they were going through a drought, which led to famine.
Damn.
So they a lot of really crazy specific details that they found, and he does the same breakdown for not only ancient Egypt, but he also does it again for the ancient Greeks and the Minoans with all of their islands, their culture, the Byzantinians who had their whole thing going on over in the Turkey region, modern day Turkey region. So it's just there's kind of an unknown particular reason why within 50 years 4 major world powers at that point completely collapsed.
Huh, interesting.
And beyond, and collapsed to the point that they were out of power, no longer running for anything. They could have been taken over easily, but it wasn't worth it because they were completely falling apart.
Damn.
So yeah, that's number 1, the perfect storm.
That's a good list.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a really good list. It's a thinking list. All right, so we have to determine the fake.
Yep, you guys got to determine a fake. So I'm gonna go.
I already have one idea.
I think I know it too.
I'm gonna go down the list. I'll just read the 9 that you have to choose from, and then I'll ask what you think. So number 10 is Centralia, Pennsylvania. It's the underground fire. Mm-hmm. Number 9 is Cahokia. It's a civilization with no name underneath modern day St. Louis. Number 8, the Burned City, the 1,000-year-old city that burned to the ground 4 times and was rebuilt 3 of those times until they just bailed. Number 7, Çatalhöyük, Turkey. They're the ones that lived in the hexes to make their walkways above their houses. Same thing, just completely abandoned one day. They're just history and their records just stop. Derinkuyu, Turkey. They are the 20,000 people city that was completely underground. Number 5 is Bahesh. So that is...
Bless you.
Thank you. Yeah, they were the farming civilization on the coast of the Mediterranean, Israel. Well, modern day Israel. Number 4 is the Minoan civilization. So they're the civilization on the islands outside of Greek with their own written and spoken language, and none of which we can decipher today. Number 3 is Persepolis. The city was burned to the ground, the mystery behind it being whether or not Alexander the Great really did it, because
look at what I did.
That wasn't his. He historically took credit for it, but he was not known for burning any cultural, artistic, or historic monument to the ground. Sure. He had a respect for history and the arts. Number 2 is the Clovis culture, believed to be destroyed by a comet or meteorite. That is 10,000 years ago in North America. And then number 1, of course, was just Perfect Storm.
Damn.
So I guess we'll go around. Okay. What do you think it is, Tach?
I'm going to take a stab in the dark, and I'm going to say, because, by the way, it was really hard to tell because they were all done so well, and they were also done uniform. So sweet. I'm going to go with the Minoans.
The Minoans?
Yeah.
Okay.
Minoans, really?
That was in my 3.
Okay. What about you, Adam?
I'm going Cahokia.
That was the one I wanted to pick.
That's what you want to, Andrea?
Uh-huh.
Why do you pick that one?
That's the one I picked from the very beginning. I don't know that I picked it from the beginning.
Oh, okay.
It just sounds close to some others. It sounds like a couple, but kind of put together.
I could say it sounds kind of Cahokie.
It does a little bit, but I have another reason. So, friends of the show and personal friends of ours just moved out of town. They moved. Where did our friend Kim, not Kim that is our model for Living Podcariously, but the other Kim, where did they move to?
Gainesville.
Ah, damn. I thought they moved up to like St. Louis. Because her screen name, I think, on our WhatsApp interaction between everybody, isn't it something like K Hooka or something very close to that? Isn't that her like screen name on there?
I don't know. I have everybody's like actual, like I have put them in my phone,
okay.
so I see the real, like
I get
my
like
phone.
the Salty Space Wizard or some whatever bullshit. I get those in there too.
Gotcha.
I thought for some reason when you said that name, I thought of them, that couple, a friend of ours. I'm like, okay, that might be the fake one. And some of the story was a little shady.
Second
Okay.
mine was Burn City.
Okay, so we had
Minoans.
we had the Minoans for Tach, then we had Cahokia for Adam.
Yep.
And then we had the Burn City.
Yeah, but I really picked the Kyoki. I just wanted us to have 3 in the running.
Okay. Well, you are all wrong.
Oh,
Damn.
okay, then I
Got
picked.
it.
Minoans we knew were around. That's
What was the
I picked
fourth
number
one?
10.
You picked number 10, Centralia, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
What was no? That's totally true. I know that for sure. What was
Fine,
number
then.
4?
Oh, the one I didn't think. I thought you were going to have on there was Atlantis. I thought you would have Atlantis on there.
You know, I thought about it, and the only reason I didn't is because it's such a common like lost civilization thing.
Yeah.
And I could have gotten all the major theories, you know, the volcano, the flooding, etc.
Sure.
But
And the other one is the other island that vanished. The Parthenon? No.
Persepolis?
No. One you did not cover. It's famous. It's.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's a super famous
You're supposed
island.
to be guessing which one's
Easter
fake.
my bad.
Island?
All
So
right,
how
sorry,
long are you
sorry.
going to make the listeners wait?
Yeah, good point.
So
All right.
the fake answer is actually number 5, Bahesh.
Really?
Modern day Israel. Yeah, I've completely made that up.
Yes.
There's no farming, coastal population of 10,000 people, and that's all. It was all fake. So.
Farming in the
It's good.
desert.
Well, I mean,
Israel's
there
got-
was
I
farming
don't know.
civilizations there.
I don't know.
It was,
And the time frame, if that one was back in that time, it was Mesopotamia, so it was very, very rich country.
I put circa 2000 BC. So
Yeah, very rich, very prosperous.
All right.
Good list,
So,
dude.
So-
It kind of made me think a little bit listening to this list. So maybe in 5,000 years from now, there'll be whatever equivalent to a podcast would be. People will be sitting around going, there was once a group called the Americans. I don't know how they say it, but and then it was in this kind of North American area. It was a very powerful nation, but then one day they just had a fire, all gone.
330 million versus 10,000.
that's I think that's the foundation for the Hunger Games. Actually,
Is it?
actually, if you
Is that the backstory?
So if you have ever read the books versus movies, not to be that guy, but
No.
the books do take place in future
Right.
post-societal collapse America.
Yeah.
We'll
Wow,
probably
really?
die
Yeah.
from the plague from people not vaccinating their children.
Oh my God, Andrea has a friend that is not going to go through
Thanks,
vaccinations.
Jennifer McCarthy.
No,
So,
I'm not saying that, and she's still researching.
Oh, all right. Well, good. I
So-
just give her a chance.
so that's our list. That's civilizations
dude.
that completely disappeared.
That's an awesome list.
awesome.
That's a
So-
really, really cool list.
Thank you.
Who's up next?
Tag.
I think it's me.
Mr.
Tacarella.
Tack. You got a
What's it gonna be?
teaser?
What
We
you
haven't
got?
done a teaser in a while.
It's true, we haven't.
Take your shirt off.
You're a hustler, baby.
Because I'm a hustler, baby.
You looking at your canned lists that you have?
Yeah, I don't know if I have. I don't have one that's like ready or anything.
Say Tex like way more prepared. He's got like list concepts written down in
know what it
advance.
is.
He's ready to go.
Yeah,
It's
it's
Tach's
just
top
concepts.
10 things that he puts into a list.
Ooh, a list of lists.
That's not what I said.
Oh,
No, I'm not going to tease anything because I have a couple of good ideas, but I don't know which one
all right,
would
all
be
right.
better.
Fair enough. We're also going to start rotating in some guests about the time that I'm supposed to go up again. So if you are interested in guest hosting an episode of Twisted 10, let us know. Get a hold of us. Contact at dichotomymedia.com is the best way to reach us.
Actually,
and let us know.
let me interrupt you there.
Oh,
the,
yeah. Oh.
The best way to reach us is through Facebook.
Oh, Facebook message.
Hands
Yeah.
down. Because that goes to all of our phones. That'll get us directly. So
Send a message to the show, the @Twisted10 on Facebook.
yeah.
It's a good point. That's a really good point, Josh.
All right.
But if you are interested, we are allowing some guest hosts slots to be opening up in the next few months. So get a hold of us, let us know. And either you can work with a proxy, meaning somebody in here can work with you to help either build your list or to help you guest host it that day. Bless you. Or if you want to fucking guest host it yourself and just take the whole show over, you can certainly do that too. You don't have to have a proxy.
it's a good time. It is a good time.
But yeah, I've got a surprise guest that's going to be coming here soon to guest host an episode, and I'm not going to tell you who it is until the day of.
When's your list? 2 weeks from now?
Yeah, 2 weeks from now. That
So
won't be that
we'll
one.
see
I
your
don't
guest in
This
2
is
weeks.
Santa.
I mean, it might, but Santa Claus is going to guest host an episode of Twisted 10. That'd be interesting.
Cat is straddling the.
Yeah.
So real quick, before we break away, I do want to give just a quick shout out to Cody Everett.
Oh,
So
yes.
he's a listener of ours that reached out. I did a little bit of a segment on cryptocurrencies and some Bitcoin trading and stuff. Just some high level, kind of just threw some information out on our other show, Living Podcariously. And he just reached out to me just as a listener and just, want to say, hey, we talked a little bit about cryptocurrency and some of his trading stuff and that stuff that he has going on with his investing. So that was really cool. I really appreciated that. I really enjoyed the conversation.
You know what's really cool too? Because cryptocurrency we thought was boring for our audience, but guess what? There's that guy that
true, yeah.
listens to our show that is interested in that stuff. And even though it's boring to some people,
Most people.
and
And I love it, but I understand.
it grabbed the attention of somebody and made it to the point where they interacted with us. So that's really cool. Cody, thanks for contacting us. And Josh, hopefully you steer him in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. He's really focused right now on how to invest. And then he had a lot of questions about mining too. So I'm hoping to get him kind of set up and point in the right direction with mining.
That's weird. All he's investing in is Mr. Wilson cryptocurrency, which is strange. Some new one that just hit the market. Well, cool. You guys want to get out of here?
Let's do it.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very, very much for listening to the Twisted 10 this week. Andrea, you want to let everybody know where they can find you?
Brett Allen Salon and Day Spa.
Oh, yeah. What about
Get them haircuts.
Mr. Wilson? You got a new place to start pimping on the show.
That's true. Yep. I encourage all of our listeners to hit up masterfulbeard.com. If you or somebody you know has facial hair that they want to take care of and not let it get flaky and gross. But basically, if you
It's
hit
a great commercial right there.
Yeah, hit it before April 1st, though. And so we're going live on April 1st. So if you go to the site, masterfulbeard.com, before then, and put your email address in, then you'll get a 20% off coupon that's good for any order through the month of April. So just get 20% off, and we've got free shipping on orders over $30. So a couple bottles of beard oil, 20% off. Free
Female
shipping.
listeners, if you're listening to this, if your man has a beard, a really, really cool gift idea, or anybody, and a family member, father, cousin, whatever has a beard. Well, I guess maybe mother too. Who knows? Maybe women have beard. This is a cool product. Speaking from a guy who has a beard, is a cool product.
Well, cool. Thanks for that.
Yeah,
Cool
man,
review.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
What about you, Tech? Where can we find you?
Just here or like at home and stuff, but maybe at work.
All right.
Or somewhere in between.
The grocery store.
The grocery store.
Where you shop at? Where
Yeah.
you shop at?
I go to Walmart.
Sweet. I'll see
So,
you there.
so Walmart.
Yeah, all right.
All right. Well, now that we know Tack is a person of Walmart,
I'm a creature of habit. So
again, Walmart, if you want to sponsor us, we love you. We're not making fun of you. We are making fun of you. All right, let's get the hell out of here. Thank you guys so much for listening. On behalf of the Twisted 10, I am Adam.
I'm still Tach.
I'm Andrea Joy.
And I'm Mr. Wilson.
Thank you guys for listening. Have a great week. Sponsorship with Living Podcariously or the Twisted 10 is not just about contracts or money. We like to form relationships with those who invest in our shows.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. We only like representing companies or products that we can really get behind.
We met Kyle and Bianca from Oak and Iron Photography at an event from another sponsor of ours and immediately bonded with them because, let's face it, they're just awesome people.
Yeah, and if you came out to our Living Podcariously listener event, you may have seen them roaming around, taking some photos for us. They captured so much joy and emotion in those photos that night. It was amazing.
Yes, it was.
Now, Adam, I'm kind of a amateur photographer, so I can appreciate how difficult it really is to capture moments like that.
They shoot events of of any kind, weddings, lifestyle photos like maternity, couples, families, you name it. Not only do they capture moments that your grandmama will like, but they also put that oak and iron personal style and spin on what would normally be considered traditional photos.
Oh yeah, that Ring of Fire shot from our event was awesome.
Hell yeah.
Their photos not only capture the raw emotions, but when looking at them later, you're transported back to that day they were taken.
You'll see it on their website. They capture, quote, the real moments for the true at heart.
Nice.
Head on over to oakandironphoto.com to check out some of their work. Also, you can click the Contact Us button and get a quote of your own.
Go and check out oakandironphoto.com and let Kyle and Bianca know you heard about them from us.